Listen!
Welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat, IGN's Nintendo podcast. My name is Philip Mewson, and remember that you can catch us live every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on IGN.com. You can catch the episode first there, and then the next day on YouTube at 3 o'clock. So make sure you come to IGN if you want to see NVC a day early. But anyway, today I am joined by Per Schneider.
What's up, Philip?
Brian Altano.
Hello there.
And Casey DeFritas.
Hello.
So good to have you guys back here. Very, very nice.
I promise I'm going to put my Switch away.
Yeah, it's like I'll...
Brian's
Thanks
very
for
busy
hanging
right
out.
now. He's in the middle of playing a top secret game. Actually, no, I guess we could say what.
Yeah, I'm playing Dead Cells.
Yeah.
God damn, that's a good game.
Okay, all right, don't say too much.
All right, embargoed.
Yes, it is under embargo, and
God damn, that's a blank
Game. God damn, that's a game.
we are going to review it, so make sure you keep your eyes open for that. It should definitely be on your radar. But before we get into all of the crazy stuff, let's just go over the run of show real quick. There are new Splatoon 2 Amiibo out, which is really exciting. Octopath Traveler is selling like crazy. It's selling off the shelves. Super Smash Brothers, the file size has been revealed for that. Ooh, I love when these guys mess with me while I'm throwing the show. It makes it so much easier. Sakurai's back in Famitsu talking about Smash Brothers. Not a bunch of like newsy tidbits, but there is still some juicy little nuggets of information that I'm excited to share with you guys there. Also, the Kong Skull Island director and upcoming director of Metal Gear is talking about his idea for if he was going to make a Metroid movie, what that would be like. So that would be cool to check out.
Super cool.
And then also there are a ton of games that we just have backlogged and we're really excited to share with you guys today as well. But anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and jump straight into the Splatoon 2 amiibo, as you guys saw with Per and Brian just kind of harassing me with them. Yeah, there they are. Per has them unboxed. I've got them in the box right here. I haven't opened mine just yet, but it's Pearl and Marina, which is really cool. We've been waiting for these a while. They came out like on July 13th, I believe. And if you're a Splatoon fan, definitely make sure you pick these up because they give you some really, really cool gear
So guys,
in the game.
Good design.
Octoling or Inkling? That was the recent Splatfest.
Yeah.
Which one would you pick?
Octoling.
Octoling. Everyone in Japan picked Octoling.
Did they really?
So I want to be on the winning team.
Octoling.
Yeah. I mean, it's a global Splatfest, which is like the first time they're actually doing that. And word is that most Japanese players are picking Octolings. So
Marina is the Octoling and Pearl is the Inkling in this duo of the hosts.
Yeah, it's really, really
Pretty easy choice.
yeah, pretty easy choice there. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump over to the Octopath Traveler sales. Now, who's playing Octopath?
I just started it
Yes.
last night, so yes.
Yes. All right, we're all playing Octopath. I'm about like 15 hours in right now to my game. Yeah, so I played a whole bunch over this past weekend. And man, I am so in love with this game. I had no idea that I would be like this enthralled by a game that looks like it came straight out of like the SNES era, essentially. But obviously it's got all these modern touches to it, like the volumetric lighting. We did mention a little bit, or we talked a little bit about Octopath on last week's episode. But since then, apparently we're not the only ones playing Octopath Traveler. A lot of other people are, because it's incredibly difficult to get your hands on a physical copy of this game. It's completely sold out on Amazon. They're actually back ordered for like 1 to 2 months.
I pre-ordered the special edition on Amazon. Still no shipping dates.
Oh, man.
Really?
Like, yeah, at pre-order it said day and date, and now it's like, well, we don't have a date yet. Goodbye.
That's really
man.
disappointing. I incredibly regret not pre-ordering a collector's edition.
Yeah.
It's cool.
this
It's
game.
cool. I don't know if it's $100 cool. I checked out the one we have here, but it's really cool. The little diorama.
Yeah,
pop-up thing.
I really like the pop-up book. It's cool. You can't really like put it on display unless you like put something else in there to keep the pages like
Or
folded
you
up.
you constantly blow on the pages.
You just blow on the pages.
Just
It
set
has
up a fan in front
Put a
of it.
little
Yeah.
two fans.
I was going to
dueling
say, there's an invention for that.
find like the perfect physics balance.
Did it come with a soundtrack?
Yes.
Yeah, it did, which is
So how
really
many
good.
tracks are on the soundtrack?
I actually haven't opened it yet. I'm trying to
Okay.
keep
Oh,
mine
man.
like sealed
Yeah.
and mint.
It's a very specific question.
Well, because a lot of times the soundtracks that come with collector's editions only come with like 5 to 10 tracks, and
Right.
games could have, dozens and dozens, 20, 30, 50 tracks. Like,
We'll
I'm
check
always disappointed.
Well, it's
with
like
my
Breath of the
collector's
Wild.
editions. Yeah, I'm always super disappointed with my Zelda collector's edition soundtracks because they have such a small selection of the music that are actually in the games.
Yeah,
wish they
there's a
just
lot of
gave you
really good music in this game.
I wish
Yeah,
they just gave you like a
Octopath is
code to
amazing.
redeem online that just had all the songs.
Yeah.
Because I understand the limitations of physical media.
Yeah.
I also understand that I don't really have a place for physical media in 2018. So I know some people still collect CDs.
Yeah, I got
Good for you.
I don't.
I got a
import
digital
them.
code
and that's it.
for Monster Hunter soundtrack when Monster Hunter World came out, and that one didn't even have one of the main themes of one of the main areas, and that was disappointing.
We're in a good path to bingo for this week already.
We're on an Octopath.
We got the Monster Hunter mentioned.
But
Yeah,
you guys,
nice work.
You guys didn't smile and nod at me while being quiet for 5 minutes. So
That's
we
right.
failed.
Okay. We'll do that next time. Monster Hunter has music.
It does.
Well, the
Monster Hunter
Octopath
has
Traveler soundtrack is super
So
super
good.
good. Yeah. I highly recommend you pick it up if you're like a fan of just video game music or like classic, like I don't know, Final Fantasy style, like battle music, because the way it's done is just so perfect and it fits the whole setting of that game.
Yeah, and it's not repetitive at all. Like,
No.
you can have that battle music on in the background and it not get annoying, which is
Yeah.
very rare.
Yeah, that is rare.
It's a great game so far. I love the variety of the the player special moves. You know, the ability to have somebody follow you, or and summon somebody in battle, or to start a fight with somebody on the spot. Like I really like that. You know, the characters, the scenarios are similar, but they all have their own special little touches.
Yeah.
And I brought up this game called Life Alive, which is sitting on my desk. It's a Square title from way back when that never came out in the West. And that game was split into lots of different chapters, and each chapter actually played differently too. So each chapter had a different creator, had a different theme. One was wrestling, one was set in China, one was set on a spaceship, and those all had different gameplay systems. And like after playing one of the sections for a couple of minutes, you're like, oh man, I really like the other system better. And then you're stuck with a whole story with an inferior battle system. Whereas like this one, it feels well tuned, well tweaked. Doesn't have quite that variety, but it's just a really charming and cool game.
Yeah, I guess the biggest criticism that it's been getting is that like each path, they don't really like intersect with each other very often,
Yeah.
which I guess is a little disappointing. But at the same time, I'm still like really enjoying switching between the different paths, and I found that actually eliminates a lot of the tedious grinding that you experience, like especially in games like Bravely Default, which was this developer's like previous RPG, or this same team's previous RPG.
Yep.
So like, I got to a point in Theron's story where I think it was like the end of chapter 2. There's a boss you have to fight. You have to be like level 22, and I think I was only level 16. So I went to go play Primrose's story, leveled my way all the way up to that final boss, then went back to Theron's boss, got him, and then went back to Primrose's story and got that boss. So like, it's so cool being able to level up in that game because it feels like you're always working towards something. It's not just a constant grind.
Yeah. No, there is not just a powerful boss and then you can't do anything and you have to run around in the field.
Yeah.
You actually can switch to a different path and complete stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's nice.
Either way, people who collect physical versions of games on Switch can't really buy this game right now.
Yeah.
Correct?
That's
Yeah.
sad.
That's kind of a pain. I'm actually pretty surprised that they, I guess, I don't know, didn't really know what to expect with how many copies of this game they were sending out.
They were definitely playing it safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they sold through everything that they shipped out. If you look at the sales charts, we have the numbers for Japan and UK. In Japan, Octopath is number 1. It sold like 110,000 copies, and I think those might just be the physical numbers. And then on top of that, in the UK, it's number 3, just under Crash Bandicoot and Lego The Incredibles, which, by the way, both Lego The Incredibles and Crash Bandicoot are not full-price games.
Right.
But Octopath is. So if you take into account the revenue, like Octopath is definitely the most profitable game that's selling right now.
I figured it would do really well. Last week, I pulled the stats for content on IGN and I shared it out on my Twitter feed. And Fortnite's always the biggest thing right now. There's so much news around that game, so many updates, but also millions of players playing this game. Octopath was in number 2, which is, given that there's so many other big name brands out there, updates to big games and news, it surprised me. And
No, that's gigantic.
It's
I mean,
doing well. Yeah.
Is that including wiki content?
No, not including
Wow.
wikis. Yeah,
Okay.
so
Oh,
just
really?
just kind of like game, news, game preview, reviews, traffic. Yeah,
Interesting.
When you add wikis, everything is Elder Scrolls and Grand Theft Auto
Pokemon
5,
Quest.
and
Well, I
Pokemon
mean-
Quest is doing incredibly well. Yeah.
The amazing divide between that is that Fortnite is on every platform. It's
Yeah.
free. It gets new content practically daily at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, it does get new content daily. Whereas Octopath is a platform exclusive sort of niche in one genre based RPG that is kind of set in stone, and the game's out now. So like, I wonder how long that'll keep going.
If the trend continues, it might be one of our more popular reviews. You know, obviously God of War will be huge by the end of the year, but this is doing really well. So that's great. It means that there was a gap for this game on the platform that, you know, people have been waiting for an RPG like that.
I honestly, though, don't blame Square Enix for playing it safe with the physical copies, because if you look at the traffic, like, you know, leading up to launch, how many people were actually paying attention to Octopath, there weren't that many people that were that interested in it. So it's one of those games that needed to, I think, come out and then have more people talking about it for it to really gain that sort of mass appeal. And I think it slowly is, because the last real JRPG to really attract a mass audience was Persona 5. And that's because that's due to a lot of like the critical or its critical reception that it received through, you know, from us and from other outlets. And on top of that, it was like nominated for awards at the Game Awards. So, I mean, maybe we'll see the same thing with Octopath. I hope so.
I think it's the power of a really big demo.
Yeah.
And just putting that in the hands of a lot of people. I mean, that's worked for decades, and I think there's still, I think there's still a really fervent audience for a good demo.
Yeah.
I understand the limitations why it's difficult to make one of those and put those out there, but it helps.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, being able to play the first 3 hours of a game that gets you hooked is just like, why wouldn't you keep playing?
And all
that's
that
so smart
over, right?
to carry that over. Yeah, that was really smart.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And
It's like it feels like renting something and being like, oh, I have something. I'm invested in this now. I want to keep going. So
And Square Enix actually issued an apology for brick and mortar stores not having the physical copies in the stores anymore in Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, they came out and had an official apology. Yeah.
wow.
Well, good on them. So let's jump over to this next topic. So if you've been paying attention to the Japanese My Nintendo store, because who doesn't, right? Who doesn't go there every single day? Just me? I guess just me. Okay, so they've actually released new details on the file size for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and it's interesting because it's a little bit bigger than what we're used to from an official Nintendo first-party release. It's actually 16 gigabytes, which essentially means it's going to take at least half of your Switch's internal storage, which is 32 gigabytes, if you don't have an SD card. So that means that there's definitely going to be a lot of content packed into this game, because Breath of the Wild, I think, was like 13 point something gigs.
That's
What?
Yeah. And Smash is 16. Now, I mean, obviously, everyone is returning. All the characters are coming back.
Music.
I'm assuming most of the
Lots of
stages.
music.
Yeah, lots of music. There's some
an
new.
entire single player campaign. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Keep
At least 10 of
wishing.
those gigs. I mean, maybe this is a lot. This is a lot of space.
Can you imagine if they added like DLC and updates and stuff like that? How much bigger it would get?
Nintendo in general historically are wizards in terms of packing tons of data into a small file size
Compression
on their
algorithm,
own
yeah.
platform.
Yep.
I mean, I downloaded Wolfenstein 2 on Switch, and it was like I had to delete like 15 games just to make room for it.
How big is your card?
I have a 256.
Oh my
gig.
god.
Oh, you have the
Nice.
256
Yeah.
fancy pants. That's expensive.
Not really.
Really?
They were like giving them away on Amazon this week.
Yeah,
Were they like
I want the 400.
I have a
I'm
200.
really
yeah,
upset I missed those sales. I went to buy one and they were all the deals were just no
Yeah.
more. Done.
I was so
128
close.
was $23 as part of Prime
crazy.
Day.
Yeah.
Upset.
Wow, that's
Very
definitely worth it. Yeah. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. Hopefully we do get a lot of DLC for this game. I'd love to have some new fighters coming in, but I think that 16 gigabytes is, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff packed in there. So get excited about that. But moving on from there, so Sakurai's latest column was actually released this week in Famitsu, and if you guys have been following that, it's sort of this like legacy like sort of piece that Famitsu's been putting together. Every issue that they put out, they speak with Sakurai, and they take chunks from his interview. And he spoke a little bit about how the whole like presentation for Smash Brothers at E3, and how he was nervous about possible leaks happening just before it, and just about how Nintendo employees weren't even aware of a lot of the stuff that was going on. Because if the words like "everyone is here" had leaked, then that would have totally ruined the surprise.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's just really, really crazy to hear him talk about it. I'll put a link in the description of the video if you guys want to check out that interview.
I think that's so cool, by the way, that it didn't leak. In spite of the fact that almost everything before E3 usually does, and we're effectively robbing ourselves of that buildup and that moment. People start working on E3 press conferences like sometimes in December the year before.
Yeah.
Like I've heard that from people at like Microsoft and Sony, that it's like a 6-7 month process of like planning all that out. So when you see those like photographs of a sheet of paper that have all the names on it, and I know like even like Overcooked and a bunch of other stuff leaked through Nintendo this year. It kind of sucks. And so I feel bad for that, especially people are working on it so hard. I know, that being said, it's also IGN's job to report on those leaks, so we're a big part of the problem. I'm sorry for that. But no, I think it's so cool that he was able to have that moment and get that out there, because I know the perception on the internet and in the room and watching, not my room, I was on paternity leave, my baby was just asleep, and I was like, look, and she was like, I don't care. But like seeing the videos of like Nintendo World Store, people freaking out, like it was a huge moment. So I'm glad he got to have that, because he's been making these games for a long time. Somehow has never made him look older or more tired, but
he looks the same, man.
He looks like he's 16.
He's Dorian Gray.
It's
he's got like
crazy.
a picture of an old man in his kitchen who keeps aging.
It's like him and Paul Rudd. I don't get it.
He's like the perfect example of a perfectionist, I think, because like even during Treehouse Live, while they were showing off the gameplay for Smash Brothers, he was commenting about how like, oh man, I'm gonna have to go back and tweak that right there, like noticing different things that he needed to go back and change. So it's just crazy, like how much he's putting into this game.
Yeah,
I think he lost something like 13 pounds or something in the last, I don't know, couple months. Just
literally put something of himself in there.
Yeah. So take care of yourself, Sakurai. We love you. We definitely want you around a lot longer. So, but yeah, very exciting stuff. So next topic here is really exciting for me because I am a very massive Metroid fan. It's probably one of my most favorite Nintendo series.
Oh, I see.
Yes, I am. I know I'm not the only one.
Oh, yes.
I know I'm not the only one.
Literally wearing a Metroid shirt.
So Max Scoville, IGN's own Max Scoville, got a chance to interview Kong Skull Island director Jordan Vogt-Roberts.
Jordan Vogt-Roberts.
Vogt-Roberts,
Yeah,
yes.
so Jordan has been...
You need to apologize for the pronunciation.
I apologize for pronouncing that name. And make sure to mark your bingo cards, too.
Yeah,
that's a
Jordan was on
no-brainer to
our
do.
Comic-Con. He did some stuff with us at Comic-Con last year. He's on our Comic-Con live show this year talking about Metal Gear. He's been basically trying to get a Metal Gear movie going for a long time. He has ideas of what that looks like. Nothing's been like sort of officially greenlit, but he's got scripts. He's got Kojima's blessing. If you follow either of these guys on Instagram, they're constantly tweeting pictures of each other, putting up pictures of each other, just hanging out. So they're working together on stuff. It's not like the situation where we saw like the Uncharted movie, where they were like, we're making an Uncharted movie and
it's going to be about a kid and his kangaroo.
Yeah,
it
Druckmann
was like
and Strelin
exactly,
love it. And Druckmann was like, I've never heard of this before. Who are you?
Yeah.
This is very different. So, but yeah, he was on Up at Noon last week.
Right.
Because he was here at IGN and he gave a pitch for a Metroid movie.
Yeah, he said he's been thinking about like what it would be like if he made a Metroid movie and sort of like his take on it, which I think is genius. We actually have a quote from that interview, and I'll put that video down in the description below too, so you guys can check it out. But this is what he said. He said, "I have a pitch for a Metroid movie. They'll never let me do it. It's too crazy. It legitimately would be Samus alone. It would be a little bit of her talking to herself. And as soon as they introduce the other talking characters in those types of game movies, it totally loses everything. You put her alone and it's almost got more to do with the silence of the movie, like Drive. Like the quietness and having it be like a real intense mood piece, but mixed with sci-fi. And I think that's such a cool idea, having like this very isolated feeling, like only following Samus, or at least for the majority of the movie type.
I mean, it would be appropriately like the second half of the original Alien movie, where Sigourney Weaver is the only one. Spoilers from 1979 is the only one left, and runs around the ship and like talks to herself and the cat at points.
Yep.
It'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Do you know there was an attempt at a Metroid movie before.
Really?
It was supposed to come out in 2006, and it was supposed to be directed by John Woo.
Oh, wow.
Made Mission
I
Impossible
remember
2.
this, yeah.
So I talked to the producer, Brad Foxhoven, about it, and he said the Nintendo was very, very worried about licensing the franchise, and the license was already owned pre Mario Brothers movie, so they kind of inherited that. And so, in working with Nintendo, John Woo kept getting frustrated over the things he couldn't do with the character. They were so restrictive on the things that they would allow you to do with Samus that Woo just kind of got frustrated and gave up on the project. And it disappeared and fell by the wayside. So he's probably right.
Yeah.
And that was 2006?
Yeah, it was in 2004. It was supposed to come out in 2006.
Okay.
So it's been a while.
That was definitely like in the midst of the Prime Trilogy era.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
When did we get 3? That was a Wii.
That was a Wii title.
That was later
That
on.
was the Wii era.
Because I know like 2009, 2010, that's when they started Metroid. What's it called? The one we don't like to remember very
Other
often.
M?
Zero Mission.
Other M. Yes.
That's the one.
Yeah, that one.
We like talking about Zero Mission.
I love talking about
good
Zero
one.
Mission.
But yeah, although his description sounds exactly what I figure Nintendo would want out of a Metroid movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like not a lot of talking to other characters. Like those were the weakest parts of Metroid Prime 3, right? Where you talk to the other the other soldiers and stuff.
Yeah, and also
And other M,
That would just
obviously.
encapsulate the feeling of the tension of all the Metroid games.
Yep.
I mean, most of the games you're just by yourself exploring
Running away
weird
from
areas,
Yeah.
an
fighting
exploding
weird
thing.
things.
Yep.
Other M3 and Fusion are the talkiest ones in terms of people constantly checking in, or in other M's case being like, hey, you're allowed to use your ice missiles now. And you're like, thanks, dude. But Jordan Vogt-Roberts did a really great job with Kong Skull Island in terms of making a big, campy, almost video game movie.
It should have not been a good movie. And
Totally.
It's actually really fun.
Yeah, it's about like 2 or 3 groups of soldiers, and scientists traveling through what's effectively a giant video game world and going through boss fights.
Yeah.
Like that's really all that movie is. And so he understands like giant creatures, he understands like what it's like to take a group of people and put them on a weird isolated planet full of dread. And I think this would be a perfect pairing. So who knows if anything like this happens. In the meantime, Jordan is tweeting out concept art from Metal Gear for the next 30 days.
Oh,
so it's all this stuff you've never seen before, fan art, concept art, every single day. So go follow him on Twitter.
That's
really
awesome.
Yeah, good guy.
By the way, I'm so happy that they're actually making a Metal Gear movie now. Like finally it's
Maybe.
it's happening. Oh,
We'll
is it
see.
still in
Yeah,
maybe
It's
land?
still a maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's closer than ever. Obviously, like you look at all the parties involved on that, not everyone is getting along perfectly. So I think it would be a matter of Konami saying like, sure, go for it. And Kojima being like, sure, I agree with that. I mean, there's just a lot of, you're looking at 2 groups that very publicly fell out a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then Jordan in the middle being like, but I love Metal Gear. So we'll see what happens.
All right, well, we can keep our hopes high. But let's go ahead and jump over to our leading games because we have so many games to catch up on. And we're going to go ahead and kick it off with our pick of the week. And that is none other than Bomb Chicken. We have been waiting so long to talk about this game. Man, I know we're all really excited about it. I think we've all, Casey, have you played it? Yes. All right, cool. So this is Bomb Chicken. Brian, I know this is your thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, take the mic.
You and I played this at the Nindies event a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Which is really cool to see because coming out of that event, I think my favorite games there were The Messenger, which is not out yet, which I can't wait for, which is, a Ninja Gaiden style sort of action platforming game with time travel elements, of course. And this game, Bomb Chicken, which is a platformer puzzle game where you're a chicken who lays eggs that explode that you can use to climb on things, kill bad guys, or accidentally commit suicide.
All the time.
All the time.
Yes.
In my case.
And so this game is it's triumphantly 16-bit era in basically everything, in every way it presents itself. And it took me a little bit to fall in love with it because I feel like it's a little unforgiving at the beginning in terms of checkpoints. But once it gets going, it really opens up and you're kind of nudged to explore every corner of it and sort of think outside of your comfort zone in terms of how you interact with this game.
Yeah.
It does that really classic Nintendo thing where it takes a fundamental gameplay mechanic that's very simple and then forces you to sort of tear that idea open in every way possible.
And like you start doing things with the bombs, and if you're watching this in video form, you'll already see some of the things you can do, obviously, with the bombs. But like you'll start to learn how you can utilize the bombs. The bombs will kill you if they blow up under your butt, and they'll blow up anything else as well. And so sometimes you get to levels that are entirely constructed out of destructible blocks, and so you got to really plan about like what bomb you kick and how high you build your bomb towers. And I love the purity of this game not having a jump button either. It's like you poop out a bomb to get one level higher, and you can, when you get good, you can go so fast in this game.
It at times plays almost like a side-scrolling Bomberman in terms of,
it feels like Bomberman.
Yeah, like in just how, I mean, you can create a line of bombs, you can create a stack of bombs, you can kick bombs and move them around. There's a mobility to them, but you can also use them to like lay down switches and kill bad guys, and like with certain things, like when you're making towers, you know that you can only be on that tower for so long, and you can only make it so high. So you're rethinking a lot. That said, when you die, I feel like the checkpoints are pretty liberal. They get a little tougher later on. But it's really the kind of game that I could not get enough of, and I want to go back in 100% because I just really adore it.
Yeah. It's also pretty hard too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because the entire time, like you can see if you're watching the video format, there's like these blue gems that you collect, and if you gain a certain amount, you can like at the end of every level, you're able to essentially upgrade your health bars.
Yeah,
which sounds simple enough, but it's actually really hard to collect. All the gems that you need, because at a certain point, it's like you need 80 of them.
Yeah.
And you might only find...
Giant chicken god, which is really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. And there's like Per and Brian were saying, there's like a ton of verticality in this game. It's really surprising, and it still manages to surprise me. I'm still playing through it. I haven't finished it. But with every level, it just gets weirder and crazier and more challenging. It's definitely not easy, and I highly, highly recommend you check it out.
The things it has you do with the bombs are really creative and really unique.
Yeah.
And it's one of those games that once you get to learn the mechanics, you can breeze through some of the levels once you understand how the bombs affect the way you move.
Yeah.
And it's really satisfying to go through an area where you failed multiple times, and then you can just run through it perfectly. And it's really cool and interesting, and the animations of the chicken are really cute.
I feel really bad for the NPC chickens. You accidentally blow up.
They turn into roast chicken.
Roast,
Well,
but you can't do anything with it. It's just casualties.
Yeah.
that's what they get for being regular chickens and not bomb chickens.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I feel like this game does teach you almost like a language, right?
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
you learn more and more. You're not actually upgrading your character specifically, but you are learning how to interact with the environment more. Sort of along the way, like something like The Witness did, where the more you keep playing it, the more you're like, I kind of fundamentally understand how this game is speaking to me right now.
Right.
So yeah.
It's like I'm so much better at Zelda games now than I was the first time I played them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Look
game.
out, check out Bomb Chicken on Nintendo Switch. It's like $15, which is very reasonable.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Next up is Pocket Rumble, another game that we've been kind of sitting on for a little while. I don't know. I'm not sure how many of you guys have checked this out. Have you played it? Yeah? All right. So I played a little bit of it earlier today and then a couple days ago too, but I really got into it today. It's kind of like a simple, like I don't want to call it simple because it's not really simple. It's a two-button fighting game.
I would say it's an incredibly stripped down fighting game.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's simple. I think it still has depth, but it feels like something that you would have played on like the Neo Geo Pocket.
That's exactly it. The style and everything is a Neo Geo Pocket
even
color
right
game.
down to the thick gridding of the pixel art in this game. I love the art style. I think the characters are really clever. The music and art's really good. I think the AI in this game is infuriating.
Yes, so brutal.
Yeah, it's not only that, but cheap. Like it feels like playing like a guy you hate in the arcade back in the 90s.
Just crouching and leg swiping
who just
over and
keeps
over again.
doing E Honda's 100 hand slap or something like that.
Yeah.
I was every time I play this game, I end up getting frustrated because the people you're fighting are just constantly spamming the same exact move over and over. And in a game that only has 2 or 3 moves, and each one of those moves has the same sound effect, it gets a little grating. That said, I imagine it's a lot more fun with friends and in situations where you're not fighting a dumb robot.
Yeah, I think it's like for its price, and I think it's also $15. I might be wrong on that.
I think this one might be 10.
10?
Yeah.
Okay, if it's 10, it's even better because it's probably the most affordable best fighting game on Switch.
Definitely,
if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got online play too, so if you hate playing against the AI, you can take your game online.
Or your friends.
Yeah, or your friends. But I mean, that said, I think that there's something to it if you're into fighting games and if you want to try and master like something like this that's a little bit more technical and really more precise about choosing your moves because you're so limited with them. Check out Pocket Rumble. It's not a bad game at all. It's actually really interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool to see a blast from the past. I remember the Neo Geo Pocket. It was just such a fun little machine, and it was the first. Like, there really weren't that many great fighting games on the kind of the Game Boy and the DS, and Neo Geo Pocket had all these great fighting games.
I know, and it was such a weird system. Like not a lot of people really know about it or owned one because it wasn't made by Sega or Nintendo.
Sniff.
And I think these graphics would work really well in handheld mode.
Yes.
So you could just put it down and give someone one of the Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
It works so much better because sometimes fighting games that are really detailed, like I can't imagine playing Smash in portable mode with another person.
Oh man,
That's going to be weird.
Yeah.
With 8 players.
Yeah, no.
and yet people will be doing it this fall.
Yep.
Or Christmas, whenever it's out.
By people, you mean
maybe
us.
my eyes are just bad.
Maybe.
All right, well, let's roll on over to Pool Panic, which is out today. It's $15, and it is the newest game by Adult Swim Games. Now, this game is very, very much like an Adult Swim cartoon in that it's completely insane, and the people who made it were on drugs. But no, in a really good way, because it's actually quite a lot of fun. Essentially, it takes the game of pool and it throws billiards in like real life situations. If you're watching the video right now, you can see,
So you
see a bunch of little campers right now.
The cue ball.
Yeah, you play as a cue ball, and all of the other balls in the game, weird sentence, are like friends or people or townsfolk or something like that. And it's level based. You basically have like a Super Mario World style overworld where you go from stage to stage and have to knock all of these balls into the holes, and then you get the 8 ball in last. Some of the balls are aggressive, so they'll like get in the way. If you walk near them, they'll start bouncing and scattering things. There's objects around the environment. It took me a minute to get used to the controls because it's very flicky. Like you have to pull the stick back in the opposite direction. But after a little while, it starts to feel good. It feels very rubber bandy.
I love that the hat falls off every time.
I know. It's so cute. There's so much charm in this game. It's like 10% gross. But I really like this game. And every level feels kind of unique. And there's challenges you can do within those levels, like the number of times it would take you to knock all the balls in the hole or whatever it is. Yeah, it's weird.
And the expressions are so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is a lot of fun. I've been enjoying this one quite a bit. Like if you're watching the video right now, you can see where we're showing like a lake level, and you can actually go inside of the lake, which is really weird. If you shoot your ball in the lake, you'll find that there's more cue balls in there or more billiard balls in there. So it's just got so many weird layers, and with each level you play, it introduces something new or something you just haven't seen before to keep it very interesting. And it's just like a hilarious game to play. If you're looking for something fun.
That red ball has a fishing pole.
Yep.
You're just
I'm
gonna
sold. I'm
realize
going to
fishing.
buy this. How much is it?
$15.
$15. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Pool Panic. I know we always I try to be better about
went
saying the
underwater.
game multiple times, and
Yep.
I forget. I haven't even seen this stage. This is insane.
Yeah, it gets even crazier. There's like a stage where you're just in a barn and there aren't even any holes in the ground or anything like that. You just have to like you have to use your billiard ball to like knock other pig billiard balls out of the barn, which is just a crazy mess, but somehow it's a lot of fun. Here it is right now showing up on
You probably
the
look at
screen.
your Switch and you're like, well, what's the best fighting game? Or what's the best puzzle platform? Or what's the best Metroidvania? And if you're wondering what the most deranged billiards game is, this is it.
What would you even call? Like, what genre is this?
This is weird
Pool
I don't know.
tabletop parlor game
Yeah.
with walking pool balls.
Exactly. I haven't
The
even checked
best
if there's.
anthropomorphic ball game.
Yeah. There you
I
go.
haven't even checked if there's just a straight up normal, realistic billiards mode in this game. Probably not.
Nope.
Maybe tucked away somewhere.
There's some sort of a multiplayer mode. I actually haven't checked it out
Oh,
yet,
oh,
but I
cool.
think that they do offer like a basic billiards table there.
Cool.
And also like a lot of the levels here open up too. Like you can see, I just cracked open that fence, and there's just like different things that just start popping out and happening. It's very, very strange. I don't think I've ever
like
played a
turkey.
game
Chicken
like
balls.
this.
It's so weird.
Yeah, super weird. But I do have a cool little surprise for you guys. One of the developers from this game, his name is Angus Dick. His Twitter handle is AngusDick18 if you want to follow him. He works for Adult Swim Games. He actually drew us as these characters. Yeah,
Really?
Can we go ahead and get that photo on screen? There we are. Right there. So from left to right, it's me, Philip, and then Casey, Pear, and then, of course, Brian.
Oh my God.
I think they did a great
awesome.
job. Yeah, it's super cool. I'm really I love this thing.
Hey, that makes me really happy. Like I was literally playing his game last night for like an hour. This is so cool.
So that's what we would look like if we were in this game.
Oh my
Love
God.
That's
Yeah.
pretty accurate.
That totally made my day.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
thank
taking the
you.
time to do that, Angus.
Hilarious.
Really
He
love
got
it.
my hair perfect, by the way.
Yeah, no, your hair is really
Good
good.
job there.
Yeah. And look at Casey's glasses.
I'm
Your
like, I
face.
even got a nose.
That's my confused expression.
Yeah, I think Pear definitely looks the best.
really
It's
good one.
spot on right there.
Oh my God. I love how like I'm like 20% Beavis and Butthead.
You got that grin going on.
God,
right
that's
there.
great.
Yeah, Pear's
awesome.
expression is pretty
Yep.
perfect.
No, that's
Yeah.
it.
This is so unsettling and wonderful. Thank you, Angus.
So that's Pool Panic. It's out right now on Nintendo Switch and I believe other consoles or PC, Nintendo Switch and PC. It's $15. Pick it up if you're just looking for a really weird but fun, just crazy trip through a game.
Yep.
So next up on the list is Mugsters. Now Mugsters also just came out this week, and it kind of took me by surprise because just taking a look at this game, it's really easy to just sort of pass it along and not take a second look. But it's got a lot to it. It's a physics-based puzzle game that takes on the top-down view, and you play as this like little character. I don't think he even has a name, but you're running through like a level-based world essentially, and you have to do complete different objectives like rescue other humans. You have to destroy satellites. You have to like take off from an airplane successfully from an island and then land it later. And it uses physics in a really creative and interesting way. Like you can see if you're watching the video podcast, I'm going to get into a car in a second and drive it straight through a wall. And so it's just very, very peculiar as to how it like sort of uses physics to progress you through the game, but it does it in a very intelligent way, which I think is really cool.
So it has real particle physics. I mean, the game is presented almost like in a cel-shaded fashion,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
each object or each wall that you break apart, the pieces actually behave
And then-
according to gravity, and so you really got to figure out how to attack things and how to smash into things
Yeah.
to get ahead.
Yeah.
This is
I
really interesting.
Like
Yeah, it
that
seems really
polygonal
cool.
water. Looks really cool.
Oh yeah. Wow.
And you can
Whoa.
complete
Oh,
each
man.
you can complete each objective like, differently. It's all about how you want to do it. You can, if you're trying to save humans, they're all like in these little weird hibernation capsules. So you can pick up a rock and throw it at the capsule, or you can just drive your car straight through it and blow it up essentially. And somehow the human survives. I don't know how, but he does. And it's got a bunch of explosive barrels in there that you can like sort of mess with. It's just one of those games that's really fun to play with the physics, but on top of the physics, it has a really interesting story that just develops as you go. And of course, the physics are just really great. So check it out. It's Mugsters. It's out right now on Switch. If you're interested in like physics puzzle games, I think this one is really cool. So did you play Miles and Kilo, Brian? Yeah,
I did.
Yeah.
Why do you even ask him?
Yes, I did.
All right. Did you play every game on Switch, Brian?
No. I read the other day that there's like there's 900 something games
Oh,
on
no.
Switch right now.
Oh, really?
I mean,
And,
yes.
Yeah. So I probably played a third. of them.
890
No,
you played?
I probably played like 300 games.
300. That sounds right.
It's a lot.
That sounds
Holy
possible.
moly.
So what's your take on Miles and Kilo?
I was just looking up the information a second ago and I couldn't remember, but I believe this is from the same developers as, I want to say, not Balloon Kid or something like that. But there was an 8-bit platforming game on Switch already that was a port of something from iOS. There was an auto-running game that launched a couple months ago that was a couple bucks. This is those developers' newest game. This one's a little different because it's not entirely auto-running. You play as a boy and his dog, and the boy levels are platforming levels that you can basically control left to right. And when you get the dog on the leash, he auto runs and you have to basically kind of like Runner or something like that.
Yeah.
Time all your jumps and do everything, collect everything. This game's got a little bit of Adventure Island in it, I would say. And I like this game. I don't love it. I found it to be a little unforgiving in terms of like it feels very simple in presentation, but it's a little harder than I wanted it to be. And in that it pushes back a little hard, and then you have to restart the levels from the beginning, which is kind of a pain in the ass when
Not a fan.
you just want to chill out and play a cool platforming game.
Yeah.
So I would like, and I rarely say this because I love tough games, like Bloodborne's one of my favorite games of all time. I would like this game to be a little bit less unforgiving, you know, or a little bit more forgiving is a simpler way of saying that. But yeah, that said, there's a discount on this game if you bought their previous game, so go check that out. And even then, I think it's only a couple bucks.
Cool.
I think it's like $5 or $6. So give it a look if you want something really challenging. I think it's fun and the art direction's really good, but I think it's just a little too punishing.
Okay.
There is a good boy.
Yes, there's a good dog in that game.
Now, a game that I think has been on Steam Early Access for quite, like over a year now, just made it to Switch. It's called 20XX. Now, this game is very, very cool. It's kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to call it like a reimagining, but it takes a lot of elements from Mega Man X.
Yes.
And it adds like a lot of modern elements as well, like procedural generation and different things like that. You've been playing a lot of this too,
Yeah,
right?
I would say, sorry, Per. I would say this is probably the best Mega Man like cover song that we've ever had.
Yeah.
No offense, Mighty Number 9.
I was just going to bring that up.
But like you said, like Philip said, it modernizes the game, the genre a lot by adding a lot of new stuff. So it's got some sort of roguelike elements, but there are permanent upgrades you can unlock and a store that you can buy stuff from that will allow you to basically keep adding stuff to your character so he or she always has it forever. I wasn't crazy. I feel like the art in this game gets a little like flash gamey. You know, it feels a little generic at times, but it's so damn fun. And the platforming feels really solid. Like shooting mechanics feel really good. The bosses are all like, they're all introduced like Mega Man bosses. Like they come in, they have that full screen and, you know, you jump through the door and then you fight them and then you move on to the next thing.
Are the bosses based on everyday household objects?
Kind of.
I'm Doorman.
Yeah, there are a lot more nonsense. Like Shatterbeak, the Icy Avenger. There are a lot more nonsense.
It's a little bit more.
They're robot masters, but it's like this one's part bird.
All right.
And I think that the overall they're a lot more interesting in terms of like attack patterns than most Mega Man bosses are, at least the old school ones. But yeah, I really like this game. It's really good.
It's also got online play too, which I found is actually really fun as well. It's seamless too, which is interesting. You go to a separate place in your sort of like hub area and you just connect to online and the game doesn't even load. Another person just pops up right next to you.
Yeah.
And it's got like two different playable characters that you can choose. I forget what their names are, like Ninja and something else.
Mega and Man.
Yeah, Mega and Man. But they're very, very closely based off of like Mega Man X characters, and they play pretty similarly too. But yeah, I really like it. It's also got like wireless play between switches where you don't have to connect to a Wi-Fi network. You can just connect straight to each other's switches. So it's great for co-op play if you just have a buddy next to you.
Like the old Game Boy Advance days.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not even that big of a Mega Man fan. Honestly, it's hard for me to admit that publicly, but I'm not. But this game really grabbed me, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I think it's a great game.
Yeah, I think like just like sitting down for a run in this game is really fun. The Switch has really proven itself to be a great platform for games like that.
Yeah.
Where you can just sit down, play for 10, 15 minutes, die, and still feel like you accomplished something.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. Now, another game that came out, I think this week, is Hand of Fate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hand of Fate 2, actually. It's a
Hand of
sequel,
Fate 2, yeah.
Have you been able to check that out?
I played it last night. It's really interesting.
It's a really strange game. It's almost like you're in a Dungeons and Dragons session with a friend set in the Middle Ages, and you've got this, you know, this dealer who's kind of like this snarky storyteller, and he puts the cards down and tells you a story, and according to the cards you pick where the story goes, you make decisions. There are battle sequences whenever you have an encounter with someone. It's a really cool, interesting concept.
It kept
This
surprising
looks
me.
So cool.
It really
I
is.
to play
Yeah.
This really bad. Now.
It genuinely kept surprising me with how much depth there was here and how many surprises there were. At first, I was like, "Oh, this is a lot of build up for a card game," which essentially is for most of the time. But then it throws to, battles where you're with a team or you're on your own fighting a wave of enemies, or there's like a dice roll mini game where you can go in and customize your character and, build out all these settings and stuff like that. And
the two main modes. There's like an endless mode where, the cards randomize the way the story is told, but there's also campaign where there's a kind of a story, very simple through line through the game. But yeah, I just love the vibe of it. It's almost like somebody's putting down like tarot cards for you and saying, you've encountered the witch. What are you going to do? And like, you have to make a decision, and there is no right or wrong path. Like, you can help a character against bandits, for example. If you choose to help, it might result in a battle. It might result in a just kind of rolling 3 dice and trying to beat a number. And the battles are very simple. It's like simple attacks, but you can also get more weapons for your character. You can move from a sword to an axe and so forth. It's got some depth in it. It looks pretty nice on the Switch too.
I imagine it's like what you imagined you were doing when you were playing Dungeons and Dragons back in the day.
Yeah.
Yep. Or it's like, we now go to battle a giant troll. This game just lets you do it, which is really cool, and then brings you right back to the card game. So
yeah, we reviewed the PC version I think last year and gave it an 8 out of 10.
Cool.
And the Switch version seems like a very competent port. Awesome. It's got a little stutter in it when loading, little skipping.
How are the loads overall? Like when you load in between the card sections?
Pretty good. Yep. Yeah, not too bad.
Cool. Yep.
Yeah, good game.
Yeah, that's Hand of Fate. It's out now on Switch, and I believe
Hand of
it's
Fate 2?
Hand of Fate 2. Yes, excuse me. And it's I believe $39.99. So yeah,
it's not a small game.
Check it out. It surprised me. I had no idea that there was actually that much action in it. So it's pretty cool. So I know it's been a while since we've had a skip of the week, but we have a skip of the week this week, and I'm very excited to announce it. It's called Guts of Glory, and it comes out on Friday. So if you're watching this on YouTube, that's today. If you're watching this on IGN, that's tomorrow, and you should be watching this on IGN because you can watch it first. But yeah, this is Guts and Glory. Yeah, and it's one of those games that tries to be silly, it tries to be stupid and fun at the same time, kind of like Octodad or those games that kind of troll you as you play.
Like Goat Simulator, right? Like it knows it's kind of broken.
Yeah, but I don't know if they wanted it to be this broken because this game is very broken. Like those are frame stutters. Yeah, you can see them happening. Sometimes it just drops straight down to like 4 frames per second. It froze up on me twice while I was trying to record gameplay, which is very rare for a Switch game to happen.
So it's one of those games that's fun to watch somebody stream just because of the unpredictability and the crazy stuff you can do, right?
Exactly. I would be a lot more forgiving with this game if, like, let's say when you die and you have to reset, if it was fast or instant, but this isn't. There's a good like 10, 12-second load before you can retry, and you're going to die a lot because it controls
You're going to die
terribly.
on a park bench. I mean, that's kind of the point, right? It's like
it was you who walked in when I gasped heavily. Yeah, I was playing this game and Brian walks in and I was like,
it's like, what happened?
I just slightly touched a park bench and my arm exploded off, and now I'm dead on the floor and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and so like, I'll put it this way: I think that this game is really funny and it's really fun. I think it's really hard to get to really nail. Like Goat Simulator hit that perfect balance of jankiness and intentional jankiness, but also still feeling like a package that was competently put together. Whereas this game, is way too rough around the edges to recommend. That said, when you're like, you play as an old man and your wife is in a radio flyer behind you and you go into a park bench and you both explode.
There she goes.
It's very funny. But like, if you can't get right back into the action, yeah. So I think it's like really hard to make a bad game on purpose. You know? It really
but they
is.
succeeded.
Yeah, they succeeded. Yeah. I mean,
well, hats off.
It's sort of like when you want to make, like, how do you make a movie that's like so bad that it's The Room that people are quoting it, they love it, you know?
Yeah.
Like you look at something like Snakes on a Plane, which was almost too good to be bad.
I love Snakes on a
See?
Plane.
But like, I think people walked out of the movie and they're like, that movie was a little better than I thought it would be. I thought it would be just awful. And I thought it'd be so bad that it was good, but it was mostly just okay.
And funny.
And so this I think this game is just like, it's just too bad.
Yeah, no,
It's just too much bad.
It just doesn't work very well, like at least on Switch. I know it's available on other consoles as well, and maybe the load times will be better there. But there's just so much about this game that like it misses. It definitely doesn't. hit it with the controls. It doesn't hit it with the frames. I mean, obviously you can see.
This is the kind of game that my sons would play for days, and I'd be mad that they're playing that instead of all the.
No, I would be all. I was really disappointed to find out this was our skip of the week because I wanted this game to be good.
Yeah.
Or no, I wanted it to run well enough to be bad.
All right.
Yeah, no, I was legitimately excited when I downloaded it. I was totally went in unbiased. I knew what kind of game it was, but I was ready to enjoy it, and it just got less and less enjoyable the more I played.
So it kept it froze on you, and it.
Yeah, it froze on me. Yeah, like
that's
multiple times. Yeah, so it's $15. I highly recommend you spend that $15 on something like Bomb Chicken, which is our pick of the week. Maybe if they update it in the future, it'll get better. But for now, just stay far away.
Or if there's a really good sale that has it for like less than that.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good idea. Switch eShop.
Or watch somebody play it on Twitch.
Yep.
That's probably the best way to enjoy it. So I asked you guys on our NVC podcast forums, which you should be a member of on Facebook, to ask us some questions for Question Block. And thank you so much. So many of you did submit your questions. We're going to try and get to as many as we possibly can. And we're going to go ahead and kick it off with Evan B., who asks, what game on Switch have you put the most time into, not counting Breath of the Wild? For me, it's Binding of Isaac. Ooh, good choice.
Speaking of my sons, my oldest son played hundreds of hours of that.
In the interest of making this interesting, can we also axe Mario Odyssey from this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right, gone then. That was probably my
Yeah, there
number
goes
two.
my
Thank you
pick.
very much. Then my number
everyone's
two
gonna be like, not Zelda, but
all right,
Mario.
my number two would be Splatoon 2, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, Splatoon 2.
I
Just
think that's
the
way more
amount of
interesting.
multiplayer hours, and it's got a single player mode and DLC and all that.
Yeah, I think for me it's a tie between Splatoon 2 and Xenoblade. I ended up putting like, I don't know, 50 hours into Xenoblade, and I'm sure I'm going to pass that with Octopath Traveler in the next week or so. So, yeah. What about you guys?
This makes me a little sick to think about it. But, I put in about 65 hours into Pokemon Quest.
Wow.
Now, for her credit though, she did work on the Wiki's guide, right?
The Wiki's guide and the review.
Yes.
So I beat it.
Yes.
At least I got the credits to roll, and that's how long it took me to get to that point.
Wow. Okay.
You know, I probably put 15 hours into that game. Isn't that weird? Because I'm not really in
That's
the Pokemon.
still quite a bit.
And then I just stopped. I don't know what happened. Like one day I was just like, oh, I'm done.
I pretty much rage quit because I couldn't get my Alakazam to learn Psychic.
Oh,
Wow.
No.
I think I spent 20 hours trying to do just that, and I just gave up.
That's what set you off. Yeah. Not the 60 hours of playing a.
Did you spend real money on it?
Well, you can't actually spend that much. I spent $30 on the pack that came with everything.
At the beginning?
Yeah, like I put like 5 hours into it, and I was like, okay, I like this game. I'm gonna keep playing. I'll get the thing that'll make the grind less difficult.
Yep.
And yeah, spent $30 on it. And you can't. I think after there's about $50 worth of content in that game, and then you cannot. There's nothing else to buy.
Oh.
So yeah, you can't buy duplicates.
Nice of them.
Yeah, it's very nice of them, and I'm really glad that they didn't have more stuff to buy because I might have bought it.
I wish more free-to-play games would be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't very grabby, which is cool.
What was your longest playtime? You played 400 games for 1 hour each.
Honestly, Fortnite.
Yeah,
no, that's
I can see
right.
that. Yeah.
Like, believe it or
a lot
not,
of that, huh?
yeah,
Mr. Level 50 over
yeah.
there.
I mean, I hit level 50 on the last battle pass. I'm 22 on this one.
Oh, wow.
Like it's the kind of thing where I'll put it this way. That game came out. That game was released a week after my daughter was, and from being born, not jail. That those worlds do not go well together because with a newborn you need a game you can pause, and Fortnite. So if you kill me in that game, it's not because I'm bad. It's because I'm just like standing there because I have to pick her up because she's screaming. So it's very hard to work those things together. But I was on paternity leave and I was home, and that was just the perfect game to sort of sink a bunch of time into and not have to think too much about.
Yeah.
And I talked last week about why I love it so much. But yeah, I think it's really the perfect game for that platform.
Nice.
Yeah, I love
Very
Fortnite.
cool.
Can't wait to play it when I get home.
So a lot of you guys asked a very similar question to this next one, so I decided to definitely put this one in there because I think it's really great. But I'm going to give Daniel P. the credit because I'm reading his question for it. Nintendo and Reggie have been teasing other surprises, unannounced titles for the remainder of the year. What do you folks think they may be, and where would they squeeze them in on the calendar? Okay, so We've all been sort of talking about this for the last week or so, ever since it was announced, that Nintendo is still cooking up stuff for this year. Now, Pear, I know you had mentioned that it could possibly be like maybe some Mario Odyssey DLC or maybe some Mario Kart DLC. Or maybe
to tie in with online, the online Mario Kart DLC to tie in with the online plan launch. No, but honestly, I think the unannounced games will be smaller ones. I think this is the stuff that you'll see in a direct where like Picross Zelda Edition or something is gonna come out, or Picross Nintendo Edition. Like it'll be smaller games like that. By the way, I'm A-okay with that. I'm done with all the Picross stuff on all the machines now. So
did they just launched a new one, didn't they? A new Picross game?
Where? Here?
On Switch.
I would know. No.
Oh, no.
He's going to check right now.
Oh, you mean the imposter game?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a real Picross game.
You're starved for Picross. I don't know.
That's not the same.
Didn't you play? You played the other one, right?
Yeah, I played the other imposter game.
What was the other
They
one
were just
called?
not that good.
Pick-a-Pix or whatever?
Didn't
you put like
I
100
think that's
hours
what
in
it
that?
was. Pick-a-Pix Deluxe.
Yeah, so you'll take what you can get.
They keep on releasing DLC for that too. No, but I think it'll be something like that. You know, like like when we got surprised like Box Boy in the past. Like it'll be that sort of caliber game. Like don't expect like Pikmin to come out of nowhere. I think.
Yeah, no,
you
you're
guys
totally
agree,
right.
or?
I totally agree. I think it's going to be stuff like Dr. Luigi and Box Boy and there was a lot of like WiiWare-ish games that came to Wii U and Wii that aren't on Switch yet that I'd like to see. I would love ports of the mainline Mario games that we saw on Wii U. I have a feeling they'll build up a little more fanfare for that. I mean, even Captain Toad, they built up some,
But I could imagine something like that where they don't want to make a big deal out of a re-release of a GameCube game again or a Wii U game. So like, I mean, hopefully it is something like Sunshine, like a game that we haven't seen in a while.
That would be awesome. Yeah. I mean, I'm really bummed that we don't have New Super Mario Brothers Wii U, we don't have New Super Luigi, and we don't have Super Mario 3D World. I just don't see them doing those things this year.
There was a rumor around New Super Mario making the cut for Switch. Yeah,
because taking those two games and putting them out in a package would be fantastic. The Luigi, I don't know if you guys played New Super Luigi. Did you guys play that?
No.
Oh my God,
the DLC thing.
Yeah, it was DLC for New Super Mario Brothers for Wii U, which launched with the Wii U. 2D Mario game, 4-player, blah, blah, blah. The Luigi version was basically all the levels were ramped up to the point where it's like when you only have 60 seconds left in a Mario game and the timer's going really fast and music's sped up. Yeah, and they're all just this crazy mad dash to get to the goal as fast as possible. Really smart, really tight, really clever levels. Yeah. And it just lived and died on Wii U. So I'd love to see that get another life on the Switch.
No, that's a really good point. And again, that was one of the rumored titles was New Super Mario. There were a couple other things that, are now rearing the heads that like the first South Park game, that are now coming out. So we'll
There's also Yoshi, which is like, we heard at E3 that was still in development and they were kind of taking
next year.
It's next year, delayed till next year, yeah.
So any Monster Hunter games coming now?
For Switch, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. August 27th.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I think you guys are spot on. I don't think we're going to get like Pikmin or Animal Crossing, unfortunately. But, the Nintendo has a ton of games in the catalog. Like that, you're right. We're on the Wii U that lived and died there that they could totally bring back.
Metroid Prime Trilogy was another rumored.
Yeah,
just port. What was the name of the Metroid game we just got on 3DS?
Samus Returns.
Yeah, put that on Switch.
Yeah, that would make total sense for Switch. It would work completely well. You don't need the map on the lower screen the entire time.
Easy money, launch it in October.
Yeah,
it's free.
Enhance the graphics a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and...
Octopath Traveler?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's some good Octopath questions here. We got two back-to-back. So Mike S. asks, who's your ultimate Octopath party? So Casey, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Oh, man. Okay, so I've been playing with Hanit, who is the hunter, Cyrus the scholar, and Ophelia the cleric as my main three. And then I've been kind of experimenting with the other characters. And I think with my fourth, I'm going to stick with Therian, who's kind of a jack of all trades. So then I have a healer, a jack of all trades who can open those purple chests and steal stuff. And then I have a physical DPS in Hadit. And then I have an elemental DPS in Cyrus, who also gives away the enemy weaknesses.
Yeah,
cool.
And
are you writing the guide?
I'm
it seems
working
like
on
really good advice, actually.
I'm working on it. And so actually, Cyrus has the highest elemental attack bonus, and Hanit has the highest physical attack bonus. And and Alphen can also revive and heal your character, the apothecary.
And they're both really good for multi-enemy attacks, too.
Yes.
They got powerful multi-enemy attacks right from the get-go. And Ophelia is kind of underrated, being able to summon villagers and soldiers that she gathers before, and then being able to heal, too.
Oh, and people's healing abilities is actually based on their elemental defense. So keep that up. And for more tips, visit the Octopath Traveler wiki.
Good plug.
We have maps that actually show you where all the hidden chests are in every location as well.
The purple chests?
Those two, yeah.
Yes, nice. Very cool. Yeah, I have a. Are you? I'm sorry.
Oh, and you can actually unlock secondary jobs. So if you think you're missing an element or a type of an attack, you can just balance your team out by getting the secondary jobs, which you can also find the locations of those shrines on the Octopath Traveler wiki.
Very cool.
I feel like I know everything now.
I know.
I'm ready.
Yeah. So the other question is from Greg C, and he asks, "What is your least liked or biggest issue with Octopath?"
That's a good question.
I think honestly, this might be a little controversial, but my biggest issue with Octopath is that I wish that they either went all in with the VO or just no VO at all. Like I think it's a little weird that it's sometimes there and sometimes not there. I would have rather just had all of it, honestly, other than than what we have now, which is just like a very sectional, like chosen pieces of VO.
Oh, I'm playing in Japanese, but
Yeah.
yeah, just the first, they always say like the first word or
Right, which I
it's
know
a popular thing in Japanese games.
Right.
nowadays.
Yeah, I mean,
Save.
yeah, it makes sense, I guess, for certain parts, but I kind of would have loved to hear like an entirely fleshed out VO.
So mine, I think the game is pretty respectful when it comes to random enemy encounters, but I still would prefer seeing the shadows of the enemies on the map, because like sometimes you're like, oh crap, I forgot I just spotted a treasure chest and I'm just gonna quickly run there, and you get the random attacks. Like I wish there was just a very turnkey, quick way to avoid that right from the map. Like
If you have a scholar on your team, they unlock a support skill that lessens the amount of random encounters you have.
there you go.
Nice.
But that's not the same.
No, it's not.
But you can't like abuse that because then you'll never level up.
Yeah.
Like I was so happy when I got that, and then I realized, I don't want to
turned
wear
it
it all
off
the
as
time.
well.
It's not. This game does not. I mean, they were games in the 16-bit age where you took 2 steps and you could get back-to-back encounters. It's not that bad,
Yeah.
but it is like those rare moments. You have a run button in this game for those rare moments where I'm like, oh, I want to quickly get that, or I forgot to talk to this guy on the map, and then attack again.
Yeah. All right.
I just want, it's fine.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Thing.
You sure?
No. One of the things that I find a little bit annoying is that the cutscenes, there are lags in between the speech bubbles popping up.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
So
right, yeah.
if you read faster than they talk and you want to just get through it, you can't.
Yeah, you and I were talking about this
Yeah.
this morning. It's kind of it kind of breaks the flow a little bit.
Yeah.
And also it'll fade to black and come back into gameplay, and you're like, you didn't really need to do that because you're all in the same engine. It's not like it's throwing to a FMV or something and coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I dig it.
Good
I'm
point.
just getting
everything
started.
else I really like.
Other than
I
that,
picked that teacher that has those weird students that are trying to hook up with him. That's weird.
Cyrus is amazing.
I'll keep going then.
He's got a funny story.
Sherlock Holmes-ish. Sherlockian.
I like him.
All right. On that note, that is our show this week. Thank you very much for watching, listening. We are a weekly show on IGN.com, and you can catch us first on IGN every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and the following day on YouTube.com/Nintendo Voice Chat at 3 p.m. So on that note, thank you guys very much for joining me, and we will see you all next week. Take care.